Right, okay, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a folder to put our work in, right? I would advise you to do the same. So you can find an area on your drive. And I'll do the same. So I'm just going to call this HCI for human computer interaction. Okay. And that's where I'm going to save my work for this exercise. Okay. Right, the software I'm going to use for this is Notepad++, which should be on your machines. And when I go into it, I'm just going to click on File and New. And you'll see you get a new document coming up there, alright? And the trick of this will be when we save it, we'll save it as an HTML file. But let's go for the basics first, okay? So the first thing I have to do is tell it it's HTML5 that I'm using. So you put in doc type HTML. Now, that's the only tag that will do that's got any capital letters in it. Alright. After that, we tell it we're starting the HTML. And when we're doing this, we have to pair up the tags, you might remember. So, yeah, it does. That's the only thing you should put in capitals inside a tag. Alright. So, we've got the HTML and everything goes inside the HTML tags, alright? Nothing should go underneath that. So the next thing, HTML, well, a kind of stupid thing I always say, an HTML's got the structure of a snowman. Snowman's got two things, what? Head and a body. That's it, okay? You avoided any obvious jokes there, well done. Right, so I'm just going to put in head. And put in a blank line, alright, and then end head. And same with body. Okay. And that is the structure of the HTML document. You'll see that the head and the body, they don't overlap with each other. The head stops and the body starts, right? And there can only be one head and one body in the document. For those of you that are new to it, the slash always means close. All right. And you should, apart from a couple of exceptions, you've always got an equal, it's like a matching pair. Some tags will close, self-closing tags, but there aren't that many of them. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to save my document. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and save it into the folder that I made. So, and I'm going to call it, now this is the crucial bit, right? I'm going to call it index.html, okay? No spaces, index.html, and click on save. Yeah, as long as you put the extension on it, index.html, yep. Okay, and what you'll see is that when you've done that, it's changed the look of it a wee bit. You can open and close areas of the page. So if I click on the minus at the first HTML, it closes it. Click the plus, opens it up again. If I just want to close the head, just click the minus beside the head, goes away. Close the body is the same. Alright. And I'll use that occasionally just because I've got limited screen space that I'm trying to demonstrate to you. Okay. Okay, we're going to do the head of the page later on, but I'm going to start by setting up a page. Now, this is a slightly different setup for a web page, right? Because we're going to use jQuery mobile, so I'm going to go into the body of the page, and I'm going to put in a div, right? You've used divs before? What for? Yeah, it divides the page into areas, right? So I'm going to say div data-role. Now, equals page ID equals page 1. Okay. Couple of blank lines, close the div. Now, what I'm going to do here, I like to try and keep my code as organized as I can. Right, so I'm going to put a wee comment in here beside the closed div, because once you get several divs on a page, it can be hard to see where you're closing one and opening another. So I'm just going to put in a wee comment and say end page 1. Okay. And that means that at a glance I can see what div is closing what. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick inside my page, and I'm going to say div data row equals header. Did you save it as .html? Okay, and again, couple of blank lines, close my div, and just a wee comment, end of header. Okay. Now, also what I'm going to do here, I'm going to indent this, right? So at the start of line 9 here, I'm going to press the tab key to nudge that in. And also on line 12 for mine, I'm going to press the tab key to nudge that in. So you can see now that you've got a header section sitting inside the page. Does that make sense, Joe? Okay. And here I'm just going to put in H1. I'm just going to say page header and H1. H1 is the biggest heading you can get. Okay. Okay. Right, so that's we've got my header. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my the main area. All right. So again, another div. You'll be sick of typing these by the end of it. Div data dash role, and we want this is going to be the main body of the page. All right, the main kind of bit of information that goes in the page. So in this case, we're going to call it main. And I'm going to give it a class as well. And class is equal to UI, that's user interface dash content. Now, I would imagine that none of you have seen this before. All right. It's not an underline, it's a dash. Okay. Now, again, on this line 13, I've just typed in. Just going to tab that. Oops. Just going to tab that in. No, sorry, I'll keep that where it is. That's all right. I'll take that back across. That makes sense. Okay. And then again, I'm just going to close this div off and just explain end of main. Okay. And in terms of the structure of the page, the last thing I'm going to put in is going to be the footer. Okay, and again, I'm just going to put H1. Let's call it footer. And end of. So, in terms of the structure of the page, I have got my my whole page here sitting inside the body, right? And that's quite unique to the jQuery that we're going to do. And inside there, we've got a wee header inside that, and then beside that, we've got main, and then we've got footer. So we've broken this page into three areas: the header, the main, and the footer. Now, just so we can see, I'm going to put a wee H1 in here as well. And I'm just going to say main part page. Okay. Now, I'm going to save this. And I want to see what it looks like in the browser, right? So I want to see what this page is going to look like in Chrome. Now, let me see. Just seeing if I can. Run. Control Shift R, I think, yeah. Control Alt. Does it work? Yeah. So that is what our page looks like, right? So to open it, you can either click in Control Alt Shift and R, or I should be able to. Okay. Alright. Okay. And what I'm going to do is launch in Chrome. Okay. Now, if you've done it right, that's what you get. Okay. Right. So what I've said to you is that if you're not getting it, don't panic, because I'm going to give you time to walk through this. Right. Okay. And the thing about me recording this is that you can pause it and work through it. All right. So that's what the page should look like at the moment. Okay. It's okay. So I'm going to start making some changes now. In order to this to work as an exercise, I'm going to start giving my page different names here. So I've got different versions. Okay. So I'm just going to say file, save as, and I'll just call this index2. Okay. .html. And that just means that when I give you the pages, you can see the differences in each of the versions, all right? So what should happen is it comes up as index2 up there, okay? So one of the things is that this is meant to look like a mobile app, right? Now, if I look at this, it clearly doesn't look like a mobile app, all right? It just looks like three headers. Now, okay, so the page is just basic HTML. Now, at this point, what I'm going to use in Notepad++ is I'm going to click on the body and the wee minus sign beside it, right? And that just narrows that down, so it's less clutter on the screen. And I'm going to open up the head of the document. Now, what you'll have noticed is that see all these things like data row and IDs and stuff, they don't really mean anything at the moment, because when you give something an ID, it's like giving it a unique identifier, right? You've all got your student numbers, that's unique identifiers. I could say you're all of a class student, so that means that can apply to every one of you. IDs is a unique thing, class can apply several times. Okay, and this data row thing, well, that only makes sense if we are working with jQuery. So I'll minimize that. And what we want to do in the head of the document is we're going to set this up so it acts like a mobile device. So we're going to call in some style sheets, and we're going to call in some jQuery. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do in the head of the document here is I'll just tab it in, and I'm just going to say link. And the relationship is going to be a style sheet. Now, Have you done style sheets before? So a style sheet is basically how a website looks. It tells a web page how to look. All right. And in here, I'm going to give a link. Now, the link is not a local link, right? And by that I mean that jQuery is a library that JavaScript uses. Okay, so when data row will make sense to this once I make the link. So I'm going to tell it I want it to load in this library. So I've got to go online to get the library. So I'm putting HTTPS // and it's hosted on the jQuery website. So I put in code.jquery.com. Now jQuery can do loads of different things, right? But this particular one is mobile, and the version is 1.4.5. And then we just link to the file jQuery.mobile dash 1.4.5. What's that? I don't. And then to be absolutely truthful, see if I'm ever using this, I copy and paste it. I've got an iPad beside me. You're ruining the magic. Right. Now, I'll just zoom out a wee bit. And there's the address there. So what that tells our web page is that we're using some style instructions. And the style instructions can be found on the jquery.com site in the mobile section in the 1.4.5 version. All right. So if I'll show you later on where you can copy and paste these codes. Google also hosts these, right? So Google will host libraries for the developers as well. But we'll stick with that one just now. Okay. So that's the style sheet. The next thing I want to do is link into the jQuery source. So in the next line, I'll say script source equals, and again, it's hosted on the jQuery website, so it's https://code.jquery.com /jquery -1.11.3.min. Now, if I have made a spell mistake in there, which is possible, hopefully I've not, then it won't work properly. Right? But what I'm going to do, if it's not working properly, I'll just double check these links first, because these are so important. Because if these aren't set up properly, then the site won't look as it should. Okay, so that's the jQuery library. And the last thing we need to do is make a link to the jQuery mobile library. And again, it's the same idea. And again, if you look, I never type this out. I'm only typing out because it's a demonstration. code.jquery.com/mobile /1.4.5 and /jQuery .mobile -1.4.5 min.js. Okay. I'll zoom out a wee bit and let you see. Now, let's say if there's a typo in there, which is of course possible, you might hit some problems. but we can go and look at the jQuery links later on, and I'll show you where I got them from. Okay, but for this unit, if you get these right once, copy and paste them. Right, I've never typed them out. I think it's the first time I've actually sat and typed them out. So we'll see if they work. Right, so I'm going to save the page at that point. Okay, and then open up Chrome again. I'm just going to change that. I've saved this as index 2, so I need to go in and change that to index2.html. And now you'll see it looks completely different. Okay. Now it actually starts to look as if it may be some sort of mobile site. Right? That means you've got a typo. Okay? But we can fix typos out later on. Alright. Okay. Okay, so let's make the let's save that, pause that there, right? And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to tell it how to behave if it encounters a mobile site. Now, in apps, you might not have thought about it before, but they fit into the screen perfectly, and in most apps you don't actually pinch and zoom, right? And this is the same. So it's still in the head of the document. I'm just going to set up a meta tag, and the name is the viewport. And what I do is just say content equals width equals, sorry, content quotes width equals device width. Initial scale equals 1. And that makes sure that the browser treats it like a mobile app. You won't see any difference in it at the moment, but so I think that's me done with the head. It is actually, right? So I don't need to put anything else in the head of the document. So I'm just going to right, keep it on for a wee minute. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work in the body of the site. So I'm just going to save that. Let's just save. And then I'm going to save it as a new version. So save as index 3. Okay. Right, I'm going to start putting some stuff in here that looks like a mobile app, right? So the first area that I'm going to look at is in the header, right? Now these links won't work right away, but you'll see what I'm doing with them. So in the header, underneath page header, I'm going to put a hyperlink in. Can you remember the code for a hyperlink? A, so it's A, href. Now I'm just going to put in a wee hashtag there just now. All right, that's a wee placeholder. Okay, and I'm just going to say data icon equals bars. You see what this does in a second. Okay, and then menu. Okay. So I'm just going to open up Chrome, sorry. And refresh it. Oh, sorry, it's index 3 now, isn't it? You'll see now that we've got a wee menu button up here and up there. Okay. Now if I click on that, it doesn't do anything at the moment, but we'll come back to that later on. But you'll see, hopefully that's something that's familiar to you all, yeah? Okay. So that line of code there. And because I've said icon equals bars, it's giving me the list. See if I say icon equals search. And refresh the page. Turns out a magnifying glass. Right. And now, see if we hadn't put the links in. See if we hadn't put the links in the head of the document. This wouldn't work. So see if I very quickly, I won't make you type it in again, but see how quickly take those lines out. Save it. It just looks like that. So it's the actual CSS that makes it look good. Okay. Alright. So I'm just going to change that back to bars. There's loads of them you can use. You'll have seen them all. Do you know what I mean? Because you've used the apps, so you'll know what they'll look like. And I'll show you in jQuery mobile how you can choose all the different ones. Okay, right. The next thing I'm going to try and do here, and still inside my page header, I want to put a wee navigation bar. Alright. Again, it's something that you'll have seen in a site. So I'm going to make a div data row equals navbar. Now I'll just tab that in again. What's that? A couple of blank lines, close the div, and just comment end of navbar. So in the navbar, what I want to do is put an unordered list. Right, can you remember what the code was for an unordered list? UL, yeah. So UL for unordered list. And then inside your list, you can put list item. And again, I'm just going to set up a dot link here. Ahref, oops, equals, and just put the hashtag. And I'll just say home, NDLI. Now at this point, I would just copy this and paste it a couple of times. Alright. And I've got to remember to close my unordered list there. Okay. If I save it there and refresh my page, you'll see you've got a wee bar of links across the top. And they'll say home, right? That's not necessarily what I'm wanting. I can take one of them out and save it. And you'll see now it's got two. Alright. So what I can do there is say home and call the second one suites. Okay. Alright, you see that changes to suites. Okay. What's that? Well, see in there that I've got my list item. You can take one away. It'll fit for however many. See if I copy those two, and stick them in and paste. That means I'll get 4 across the page. Like that. Alright. So however many list items you put in the list, it'll just fit them in across the screen perfectly. So it's quite a nice system to work with. Right. At the moment, I'm done with the header section. So I'm just going to click on the minus beside that. Okay. Right. So I've got this same main part of the page, right? I'm going to take that out. Give myself a bit of room to breathe. I'm going to put a form in here, right? To allow the people to put the suite name in and allow them to choose the size. What was the size, wasn't it? The amount. The amount of suite size. Right. Anyway. So I'm going to say label in the main. So div data row equals main class equals now as right, I'm nearly there, right? So we'll stop. You've got the files, you can work through it. Okay. The problem is I've got to presume that you've seen HTML before, right? But I will go through it. Okay. So the main section here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the forum. And I'll just put in, we put in a label, and I'll say label for suites. Okay. I'll just say suites like that, and then I'll close the label. And then I want to have an input box. So my input type equals text. Name is suites. And I'll just say placeholder equals suites as well. Placeholder is, if you ever go into a form and there's code in it. So okay. Right, I'll save it there and let's see what it looks like. Okay, and you'll see that it says suites and suites, right? I don't know if I need the label in there. Okay, so what I could do is either I could delete it or I could make it hidden. If I want to hide it, I can give that label a class. And just say class equals UI hidden. That's accessible. Okay, so if I stick that code in and refresh it, you'll see the suites disappears. But if you were to look at it on a normal website, you would still be able to see it. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is you could put a wee button. Input type equals submit. Value equals, I'll say save suites or something like that, right? You put anything you want in there. And there's the button that appears underneath it. So you can type something in there, click and save suites. It'll say error, but that's okay. Alright. Don't worry about the errors just now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you those files to mess around with. And I'll put the video up on the VLE as well for you to have a look at as well. Okay. We'll muck about with it. You'll get to know it a bit better. And then I'll show you how you can put a wee panel in as well to make it move about.